You are now listening to the Tapped In Podcast with Bailey Scott. Why, hello, my lovely little earth angels. I feel so glowy today. I made my own body oil and it was just so healing and therapeutic. And now my skin is glowing. Hello. Look at that shoulder. Hello, guys. Welcome back to my podcast. On this podcast, we talk about spirituality, self-development, growth from the inside out, and I just really wanted to I want to get in something lighthearted today. Absolutely not. It's definitely not a lighthearted topic, but I definitely wanted to get into something that I feel is a lot simpler. I feel like maybe a lot of people already know this, but I feel that it's also something that is important to talk about and remind people that you cannot be constantly settling for the lack of the love that you deserve. And so as you know, the title of today's episode is We Accept Love That We Think We Deserve. And I feel that is such a blanket statement. I feel that a lot of people could read that and see that and kind of just be like, yeah, like I always just invite the same type of guys in my life. But a lot of people don't know why. Like, a lot of people don't know why the same type of man or friend or job keeps getting invited into their life, and they keep forgetting why they're trapped in this loop. And I really just want to be a vessel and a messenger for you to remember that you don't have to not be loved. You don't have to not feel the true embrace of divine love, because it is out there and it exists, and you just have to have faith that it does exist. So grab your tea. I didn't make you one today. I'm so sorry. Grab your tea and let's get into it. We allow certain people and situations in our life because the lack of self-love. That is the most plain, simple answer. And for some, that might be like, yeah, duh, I already know that. I need to love myself more, blah, blah, blah. How do I just love myself today? Whatever. There's that aspect. But then there's also the aspect of people that feel like that they're stuck in this loop in life and they don't know why. And a lot of people could say like, yeah, I love myself. Like, yeah, duh. But loving yourself and having self-love, I mean, they coincide, because if you have self-love, then you love yourself. But I feel like someone that just loves themselves because maybe of their status, or because of the amount of money they make, or because of, what kind of house they live in. I don't fucking know. I think that those are such superficial things to love yourself about. What do you truly love about yourself? And that's where self-love comes in. And, I think, when we kind of get, like, for me, for example, if I'm putting myself in the shoes of this imaginary person, probably you, that I'm talking about, it's like I feel in the past, especially when I lived in LA, because that's when I did a lot of reflection, was when I was in LA. So sorry I keep talking about it, guys, but I've just been reflecting a lot on LA. I doubt you guys can tell, but I added a little light because it's like super gloomy right now, and normally the sun is my light, but the sun is not sunning right now. Sorry, so cringy. Anyway, so LA, I was very much so not in love with myself. I did love aspects of myself. Like, I loved that I just picked up and moved to LA. I loved that I was this young girl in her 20s that could really just conquer the world and nobody could stop me. I loved that I was with cool friends for a short period of time. I'm just kidding. I had one really, really, really good friend, and Andy, I love you. But yeah, I loved aspects of my life, but myself as a person and as a vessel, I was like I didn't even think I was cute. I didn't really think that I was attractive. I just was like, what's going on? So, with that layer of unworthiness and confusion and just like doubt about myself, it really, really, really trickled into the kind of people that I allowed into my life. I had this friend that I made, and it was just such a weird friendship. And I can't necessarily tell if they were just setting boundaries with me. And it was my first time ever experiencing someone setting boundaries. And I was like confused. And that can bring a layer of stuff up for you because someone else has enough self-confidence and love to set boundaries and you don't. So you receive someone that sets boundaries and you're like offended and you're like, oh my God, what's going on? When actually you're just experiencing someone that has a layer of self-love within them to set boundaries. But then there's also that kind of person that sets very weird, like, borders between you and the other person, and they assume things. They don't talk to you. They don't communicate. And I'm like, I wonder if this situation could have improved if I had a layer of self-love where I could set a boundary, but I just could not set a boundary with this person. It felt impossible. And that's the difference, is when you feel like you can set a boundary with someone and you can also receive their boundary. But if they set boundary after boundary and then you set one and then all of a sudden they're offended and they're like, oh my God, like, then yeah, okay, obviously they're not coming from a place of understanding or I don't want to say self-love because I don't want to assume someone doesn't have self-love, but we don't need to go there. But yeah, so I had one really weird friendship, okay? And then I had a multitude, okay? Multitude makes me sound like really, really bad. Okay, multitude is crazy. Under 10, okay? Of situationships. I would even say under 5. No. I had a few situations in LA that were just not the healthiest kind of people. And they kept resurfacing me feeling a layer of unworthiness. Like almost every single person like re-showed me a value about myself that I don't have because they didn't show worthiness to me. So therefore I was accepting what they were giving because I didn't have worthiness within myself to accept. Even though at the time I was like, they're treating me like this, they're saying this to me, they're doing this to me. And my friends were like, so like stop hanging out with them. Like, what the fuck? And then I'm like, oh, but like, you know, like, but they also did this and they also did this. And it's like, queen, why are you settling? Like, have someone show up and bring you flowers. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. You know, but then I was like one of those people that just kind of kept falling into the trap of seeing these people over again, like falling for them and having crushes on them and all of this stuff. And it just was so unhealthy. It was so toxic for me. And I feel like the reason that I kept retracting to accepting this kind of layer of honestly self-abuse in the sense, because I was never truly happy with the people that I had in my situations, my situationships, if you will. I didn't like them. Like maybe I liked them sometimes, but it was like why do I keep getting in situations with people that I don't even like? You know what I mean? So it definitely was an interesting journey to have to learn that I was doing this to myself. Like, yeah, these people have a lot to work on, but I can't change anybody. Nobody can change me. I have to change myself for myself. I have to stop getting in situations with people that just because I find them hot and funny sometimes that I'm settling to like fucking let them have my body. Like, what? That's just not something that anyone deserves unless they are literally my husband or wife. But yeah, I just feel that a part of me was accepting what I felt like I deserved. I didn't feel like I deserved a layer of worthiness that was so high and so potent that I was accepting bare minimum or less than. So, if that's you, notice it, acknowledge it, and then figure out a way you can move forward. Does this mean that you'll get it resolved today? No. Does this mean that you'll most likely get into another situation and another until you realize like, I need to stop? Maybe not that many. But if you feel that you have gone through this cycle over and over and over again, then we need to like hit a plateau to the point where I don't want to say that it has to get to a point where it's really bad, but with certain people, sometimes it has to get to a point where it's so bad that you are kind of like, why do I keep doing this to myself? And it's unfortunate that it does have to get to that point for so many people. And, you know, a majority of the time, those situations are traumatic and scary and triggering and annoying and scary and confusing. And it's scary because, like I said, those situations are traumatic and they're scary, and no one deserves to go through those things, especially if you're the person that it's getting done to, you know. But for me, I hit a plateau with someone last year, and it truly left me like just completely distraught and beside myself. And it left me feeling so like, oh my gosh, because I would get high with this person a lot. And there was something that happened to me when I was super high one night, and the plant, weed, was showing me the reason I'm in this situation and feeling like this is because I put myself in this situation. I allowed myself to be in this environment and this room with this person at this time because I am allowing it. Not because, oh, like external situations. No, it was something that I allowed myself to be in. And when I had that reflection, I felt so uncomfortable. I felt so sad. And I was just like, damn, like I really did this to myself. And it sucks because it puts a lot of pressure on you, but it also shows you how much that you can also trust yourself. It shows you how much that, yes, it does suck that maybe you put yourself in this situation, but it's so amazing when you come out on the other end and you're like, I bought myself out of it though. Like I noticed it. Yes, maybe I put myself there, but I, also God, brought myself out of this situation because I acknowledged something was wrong, something was off. And that doesn't need weed, okay? It can literally be a text that makes you feel uncomfortable. It could be anything that makes you the slightest bit like something's off. If there's conflict, I don't want to say that, oh no, they're not the person for you, whatever. If there's conflict in a friendship or a relationship, nope, X them out. No, that's not what I'm saying, because there's conflict in every situation and in every relationship in life. But when I mean off, you know what I mean, especially a woman's intuition. Like, you know when something is off, and I can't put it into words, but nowadays I'm starting to notice the kind of people that find me attractive and that I find attractive. And then I'm also looking at the people that I kind of could see as a friend, but then I'm like, something's off. Something's off. I can't explain it. And that doesn't mean that I don't like them. Like, I can still like people on a surface level, but I know something's off to the point where I know that I can't get any further in this friendship. I know I can't get any further in this situation. I just know myself. I know my heart. I know my intuition. Back in the day when I was in LA, I was just getting in anything because I was like, ooh, it's exciting. It's new. It's fresh. I want to see. And then I would see, and then I would learn. I would see, and then I would learn quick. So, all in all to say, I think that when we notice ourselves in a situation moving forward, and you're talking to someone, maybe it's a romantic person, and you're like, okay, like I like their vibe. They're funny. They're hot. But something's off. You already have your answer. You know, you could be curious. You can go on a date. You can explore the option. But I promise you that when you notice that one off thing, there's just going to be another and another and another and another and another. And to the point where you are caught in a situation where you're like, oh my God, how did I get here? And then you're like sleeping with them and you're like, oh shit. You know, and then you feel like crap for the next few days, or you're anxious because you're like worried why they're not texting you, or worried why they're like on Instagram and not texting you. And it's like, well, you felt it since the beginning, babe. So I think now, moving forward in 2026, we can venture out to say that we are no longer allowing something to further exceed because we know something was off in the beginning. Okay? I love you. Next thing I wanted to talk about was a lot of people can't even begin to imagine a healthy situation because they think it will be boring. For me, I have a layer of understanding for this. I do. Do I think that the boring is necessarily like, oh, we don't get to fight? Like, ugh, so boring. No, I don't like fighting. I don't like getting in situations where I feel like there's always an altercation or jealousy or whatever. I hate that. But to me, boring could be along the sense of like sometimes someone that's bad for us or someone that I put bad in quotes to the audio listeners. Someone that's necessarily like not good for our heart and soul, not good for the longevity of our life. Sometimes they're a really fun person. Sometimes just in general, they're a fun person. They like doing fun, different, adventurous kind of, dare I say, okay, dangerous is dramatic. But like just an adventurous kind of person. I feel like that a lot of us love someone with this crazy charm or ambition or funny or whatever. Like we really feel attracted to those kinds of people because they have an exuberant energy, they have an exuberant aura, and we're just like, they're just so fun, they're fun to be around, and I like their vibe. And so when we think about something that could be healthy, we're thinking a little like, oh, what, maybe they're an introvert, or maybe they just, I don't know, what if they don't click with my friends, or like what if I just end up not doing anything and I just sit at home and watch movies? That is also a sign that someone isn't meant for you either, because if that's not what you want and if that's not who you are, then that is also a sign if they just want to stay in the house and do nothing. To me, when I think about this topic about us kind of not wanting to get into something healthy because we think it will be boring, I think that those kinds of people never really got to be able to experience something loving and healthy, because all they've known was toxic friendships and toxic relationships, and that always stems down to a toxic household. That always stems down to a rough household. And so when we think about peace and quiet, and when we think about calm, and when we think about, something that doesn't result into fights, then we get a little scared because we're like, but like, where's the chaos? Where is the drama? And you can still have organized chaos. Like you can still have a household that's, loud with music, or, kind of like laughter, or, like you can have organized chaos in the sense of like, it's your life. You can have it be your way. But when we think about something that is long term, do we really want something that's long term, that's unhealthy and unorganized? And it's like I'm trying to think of an analogy. I can't think of one. I can't think of an analogy. But regardless, like I said, a part of me has a layer of understanding. Not in the sense of I grew up in such a toxic household that I only want toxicity and that's all I know. Like, no, that's not my situation personally. But I understand how certain people could feel this way based off of like I said, someone's exuberant energy is just so fun that we get overtaken by how fun of a person they are, instead of fact of the matter that they just aren't a good person for us. That little off feeling that you like, it's like a weird like tickle in my stomach. I can't explain it. It's just like I feel like I can't be myself around them. That is kind of the best way that I can put it. But I think a way that we can kind of get over this hump is to realize that you don't have to be in something if it's not what you want, okay? But you can't be in something just because, like, he doesn't get jealous when I talk to guys. Like, what the fuck? Does he even like me? Or, like, when I said, why is he following all these girls on Instagram? He just went and unfollowed all of them. Like what a freaking weirdo. Like, and those are stupid examples, but you know what I mean? Like, I feel that certain people get caught into loops of getting in toxic things because they like the chase. They like the ammunition, and they like that anger boost. And personally, I'm just not somebody that gets that. I don't get that. I don't have that like fight or flight energy in me, but I know a lot of people that grew up in toxic households have that that energy that just loves chaos. And I just feel that something within me that is really like just wanting for myself is I want someone that's as spontaneous and as adventurous and as exciting and exuberant and outgoing as me. But I also would love someone that has the capacity to be able to be like, let's stay in tonight. Like, let's do this instead, baby. Like, let's go like to a pottery place and paint some. Like, for me, I want my quote unquote boring person won't be boring because it will just be healthy. It'll be everything I want in a person plus healthy. It'll be everything I want in a person minus the fighting, minus the going back and forth. I mean, fights happen. I guess I should say disagreements, but minus the yelling at each other, minus the miscommunication, minus the not communicating at all. Like, minus all of the things that I have received from past partners. And I think that when it comes to someone that comes into your life that will be healthy, I think that being scared that it's going to be boring is something that's okay. You're allowed to feel that way, but I think that you should have a communicative conversation with your partner and or your journal or a therapist or a friend. What exactly about a healthy relationship is considered boring? Is it the fact that there's no drama? Is it the fact that there's no jealousy? Is it the fact that there's just this layer of trust that you've never felt before? What is it about a healthy relationship that actually scares you? Once you figure that out, and say you met someone and they're healthy and they're like so amazing and you're just so like shook that you found someone that actually cares about your well-being, but there's that layer of fear that's like, do I even like accept, like, do I even allow this into my life? Like, this is just nothing like any one of the past partners I've ever had. Like, is this okay? Yes, it's okay. Obviously, if it's boring in the sense of they don't like to do anything, they're just kind of a chill person, then that is okay. Like, even if it's a healthy situation, they just don't feel like your person, you should be able to clock that and know that. And, you know, maturity should go on both ends. You just don't feel like my person, even though I love you or even though whatever. And they should be, I respect that. Thank you so much for not leading me on this for years and years. You know, I think that that's also something to keep in mind is if someone's boring to you, then you don't need to communicate that they're boring, but you need to just communicate that they're not your person and that you will be able to find someone that's as fun and spontaneous and outgoing as you. But you'll also be able to get the healthy parts, which are like beautiful conversations, deep conversations, you know, communication, just being able to talk and sometimes not talk, sometimes just be. And I think that we get nervous of just being, and that's something that we need to figure out to do before we get our divine partner. We need to figure out how to be with ourselves. And a lot of people have a hard time doing that. So once you can master the art of being with yourself, then when that divine partner does come, then you can be able to master what it's like being with this person. And then once you're just being with this person, if it starts to feel even better than what being with yourself felt like, then you know. But healthy doesn't equate to boring. Let's just say that. Because, I have an analogy. It's like if you decided to go from eating fast food all the time, you know, that quick dopamine hit, those fights, quick dopamine hit, okay? You're just like yelling at each other, you're bantering, that's the fast food, okay? Maybe not bantering, but you're yelling at each other, you're quarreling, you know, like that's the fast food, okay? But a lot of people don't like to eat healthy because they think it's boring. They think that eating healthy is like, I don't want to eat spinach right now. I want cheese, which me. Eating healthier is more boring. It's more exhausting. It's like, I don't want to like get out all the dishes and cook and clean and wash the veggies and blah, blah, you know, like, again, I get it. Okay. I get it. It's a whole life transition. It's a whole lifestyle transition. That's exactly what getting into something healthy with someone is. It's a slow transition. You have to start slow, okay? You might fall into your old patterns. They might fall into their old patterns. But something that's beautiful is eventually it will become your lifestyle. Eventually, taking out the veggies and cleaning them and sauteing them and adding the seasonings, and it becomes more fun as the process goes on, because you're able to add your own fun little ingredients. You're able to add, like, I know this will taste good, I know this will taste good, and I know that me putting all this work into this meal will be so good that it's going to be just so worth all the work. That's exactly what being in a healthy relationship can feel like. That's exactly what a healthy relationship can prosper into. It can prosper into that yummy meal that took all that preparation. And I think that that is the best analogy, for one. And for two, I think that it's something that you need to be patient with yourself with, for sure. If you notice yourself in a healthy thing and you're like, this is kind of boring. Like, what am I doing? But you're happy and you're the healthiest you've ever been. You're in the healthiest relationship you've ever been. I think that that is something to keep in mind. Like, I have never felt so stable before. I'm concerned. Say you start to eat healthy after eating fast food and it's been a month and you're like, wow, I have so much energy. I've been getting great sleep. I've been so focused on my work. I've been so just consistently happy. I feel like I'm not getting anxiety or stomach aches or whatever. What is going on? You're eating healthy. You're in a healthy relationship. And that is just something to keep in mind. Like, it's not boring. It's just the thought of it. And once we get past that thought that's holding us back and eating the fast food, then we can be able to actually push forward and receive the reward of a healthy meal. That was so good. Bailey, I ate that up. Okay. Thank you. Next. Okay. This one. It's like about to rain and it's just like such a weird, cozy vibe. I kind of like it. We like hard things because it makes us feel like we won something, even if the prize is pain. And it kind of ties into what I was talking about, kind of how our brains just love to win, like win a fight, win an argument, be proven right. We love to kind of just feel like that we are, chasing that dopamine hit of like, aha, I told you, or aha, I caught you, or whatever, sometimes rightfully so. Sometimes these men are be cheating and we need to, or women. Okay. I'm not saying that only men cheat. But sometimes we be catching our partner cheating and we're like, so you were cheating and you lied to me, right? I know that there are those types of situations, but I just feel like what I mean by this is how we like going back to the fast food because of that quick dopamine. We love going to that fast food and going to those arguments and going through those, toxic situations and being like, why isn't he texting me back? And then when he texts, you're like so excited, but then you wait 3 hours because you're like, he didn't text me for 24, so I'm gonna not text him for 24 and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh my gosh, girl, like, take a step back, look inward, okay? And really investigate. Why do I feel like I want to like what is making me feel like being proven right will do? You know what I mean? And for me, I feel like I still have this characteristic, which is why I'm glad I'm making this podcast episode for myself. Is sometimes we feel like we want to kind of like, we want something. And so we're like, what should I do? Should I flirt? Should I kind of come off a little like standoffish? And then once we like kind of have that, like, once we have kind of like that hit or that high of like being validated, then we're kind of like, oh, like, so I do have this like capability to like make someone like me, or like have someone become my friend. Or it's weird because it's kind of like a manipulation tactic, but it's weird because I'm not manipulative. I think something that I do is like, I'm just going to keep being myself and see what happens, because sometimes I'll have a feeling about someone or a feeling about something. And so I'm like, I'm just going to keep being myself and see what happens, because 80% of the time the more, I would even say 90% of the time you're more yourself, then obviously the people that keep coming to you and keep being drawn to you are, I don't want to necessarily say meant for you because moths love light. But I feel that the people that are drawn to you are the kind of people that either you need to learn a lesson from, or they're a divinely sent person and you guys connect. And I think that for me, I've noticed that when I'm like, I'm just going to keep being myself and see what happens, I always normally end up being right about that feeling that I felt in my gut. And I was like, so that doesn't necessarily mean that that's healthy, because I'm still technically playing a mind game, but it's mostly just with myself, because a part of me is like, I'm noticing that something is going on energetically. It's unseen. It's not heard. It's only felt. You know what I mean? And I want to take a step further, and I want to be able to see if this is something that I'm just overthinking or if it's something that my intuition is right about. And I think that sometimes what I do is I just kind of amp up myself a little bit. I become a little more myself. I become a little more eccentric. I become a little more loud. I become a little more just myself, because I'm like, if someone can like this, then they can like any version of me. Maybe not any version, but all in all to say, we like challenges. We like toxic things because we like being able to kind of see what reward we're going to get out of it. Our brain loves a reward. Our brain loves feeling like we achieved something. That's why men love to chase women, because they love to feel like they won. So as soon as they quote unquote have a woman and they have sex with her, and this is only toxic men, I'm not saying all men, they just cast her aside and just kind of go, fuck this, never mind, because they had their nut and they won, right? They got their trophy. They're just putting it on the shelf now with all the rest of the other trophies that they've fucked. Okay, sorry, that they've had sex with. But yeah, so that's just kind of the, a manipulative man type mindset. And I feel that us women, maybe we have the same mindset in like the having sex with people situation, but I feel like us women have the same mindset in a perspective of, I'm just gonna like kind of, exude out this energy and see like what comes back with like this person. And when you get that response, you're like, oh, okay. So like I have it. It's way more of a feminine type energy exchange. And it's less like a man just being like, let me get your number, and then they get it. And then, you guys go out and then blah. Regardless, I think that's something that we can do to be able to not look at this reward system so highly, is to not look at this person that we're kind of trying to attract as our person. We can still have fun. We can still flirt. Okay. I'm not saying that you can't have sex. I'm not saying that you can't have sex with someone. I'm not saying any of that. What I am saying is that when we start to notice ourselves trying to draw someone in with some sort of tactic, whether like me upping my personality a little bit, or maybe for you, it's you're a little more flirty. Maybe you're changing your outfits. Maybe you're switching your perfume. Maybe you're wondering what to say to them when they get to work, blah, blah, blah. Then I think that that is something to keep in mind, that if I'm having these like thoughts that like I kind of want to like achieve this person, or I want to like win something, then that's already how you know that they're not your person. Because if they were your person, you wouldn't have to jump through all of these hoops to like, you know what I'm saying? You wouldn't have to jump through all of these hoops of picking out your best perfume. And like, of course it's fun. That's why I'm saying it's not like you can't have fun. It's not like you can't flirt. It's not like you can't exude out this very feminine, exciting energy that's like, ooh, I like to pick my outfit, and ooh, I like to just chat with them and like just talk about nothing. Like, I'm not saying that you can't do those things, but if you are doing those things, sometimes it's just, and I'm saying sometimes, that's just how you know that they're not your person, because your person wouldn't care for you to have to up your personality or wear that stupid perfume or do your makeup every time you go see them or wear that certain outfit. If you were with your person, your divine person, They would just love you. They would just like you as a soul. They would recognize you as a soul, that it didn't matter if you just woke up in the morning and rolled over with eye boogies. It wouldn't matter if they had sex with you or not. It wouldn't matter if you had a stupid conversation or did drugs together or whatever. It would literally just be the fact that you are you and they love you for you, you know? And it wouldn't feel like this huge, like, oh, I'm going to like do all of this. And then my reward is going to be, they're going to like kiss me, or my reward is going to be like, oh, like they're going to like ask me for my number. Like, okay, girl, you know what I mean? And like I said, when I said that the prize is pain, a majority of the time, the prize is what, we have sex, or what, we go on a date and it's bad. And then all of a sudden we're caught in this situation again, where we're in this situationship with someone. And then they're like, oh, like I wasn't looking for a relationship. And you're like, what? And then you were like, I went through all of these hurdles. I did all of these things. I got dressed for you. I wore perfume. We had conversations. We went on dates and I had sex with you. And now you don't want to be in a relationship? Yeah. So that's the pain. And then we kind of notice ourselves getting in these situations over and over and over and over and over again. And then it's just a continuous loop that we cannot help but keep going through. But we're going to stop doing that in 2026, maybe 2027. I'm giving you guys grace, okay? Because God gives you grace. You don't have a time limit. But if you're noticing that these patterns are happening, and before it's too late and you have kids with this person and all of a sudden that they're a deadbeat parent, then you kind of, you know, we need to rewire these brain cells before it's too late. Okay. Last thing I had to say is, when you start to love yourself, the people that are like weird energy, the people that are off energy, don't necessarily stop coming to you, because like I said, moths love light. If you exude a light energy, if you exude an energy that's just so vibrant and exciting and just eccentric and out there, people are going to notice and they're going to feel drawn to you. They're going to feel attracted to you. It's inevitable. It's just inevitable. Weird people are going to come into your life. It's bound to happen. So when that does happen, I think that we kind of get to a point where we notice it sooner. We notice that someone is off way sooner than we would have if we weren't healed and or healing. And we stop allowing it to go too far. We stop allowing it to get to a point where we're like, oh shit, I'm in bed with them. Like, damn it. You know, we stop allowing ourselves get to a point where it's too far. And to me, that's such a beautiful point that I feel like I'm at right now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's why I feel so confident making this video or making this podcast, because even though I'm not perfect, I'm only 23. I'm just a girl sitting on her bedroom floor. But I think another part of me has been instilled this wisdom that's so exciting, because I feel like I'm in a work environment where I could really be toxic. I could, but I don't want to be. I don't want to be the girl that was in LA that was kind of just willy-nilly doing whatever she wanted with whoever she wanted because she's young and hot and free and in LA. Like, no, that is not the energy I have right now. The energy I have right now is, though I like you and though you're cool and though you're awesome right now, I don't feel a longevity friendship or relationship with you. And I can feel so content to say that. I can feel so content to be like, I know in my heart of hearts that I'm not going to get involved with anyone because of the fact that I know what it's going to lead to. It's going to lead to uncomfortability and pain. I know that. So I'm refusing to allow myself to get into anything any further. Does this mean I won't have friends? No. Does this mean that you can't have friends? No. Have friends, have crushes, have people that you want to flirt with, have people that you like maybe want to fuck. I don't know. I'm someone that can't just have sex just to have sex. A lot of people can. Good for you. I'm not that kind of person. Even though your body is a temple and you should really honor your womb space, but we don't have to get into that this episode. I think what I'm noticing for me right now is I'm noticing moths. And this sounds so mean because I know that we're all beautiful souls at heart. I know it. But then you also know when someone is healing and growing towards the light. And you also know when someone is retracting from the light. Maybe they're still drawn to the light, but they're not drawn to the light that's within them. They're drawn to the light that's within you. And so then they're drawn to you instead of being drawn to God, which is within them, which is in their highest overall being, you know? I feel like we kind of notice when someone isn't really noticing the light within themselves. They just notice the light within other people. So they want to get with other people or be friends with other people because they have such exuberant lights within them that they can't find within themselves. Even though what I have within me is within you, because we all have God. But noticing myself starting to really loosen the grip on feeling like I need to be this certain person and like win this sort of reward and kind of like achieve this certain goal and be like, aha, I knew you liked me, or I knew you had a crush on me, or whatever. Like, I'm not feeling like I need to like win this prize, because I know at the end of the day, the prize is within. I know at the end of the day, the prize is me coming home alone in my own bed, in my own energy. I know that the prize is me being able to like be with myself and God. I know that the prize is me finally coming to terms with the fact that I'm so much more content being at home with myself than going home with you. And that's on that. I hope you guys really enjoyed today's episode. I know I did. I had analogies up the wazoo. Okay, look at me. I just had one really good analogy. And honestly, that to me, just like, I can't believe, like, it's such a basic analogy. It really is, but I just am really proud of it. So let me have my flowers, okay? Thank you guys so much for listening to the Tapped In podcast. Definitely stay tuned for episodes weekly. I really hope that you guys enjoyed. I love you so much. Thank you so much for tapping in, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.